There's no place like home. There's no place.
Home. Our house is a very, very, very fine house with 2 cats.
Well, hi there. This is Home Wizards, where we love to improve your home and say things.
Yes, and improve your life. That's right. We do it.
Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. And, summertime is virtually here. I grew up with a swimming pool. You have a swimming pool.
I do. I did not grow up with one. No.
But when you moved to California, did you say, you know what, I have to have a swimming pool? I always wanted one, or was it just kind of a fluke?
Well, it was sort of a fluke because, when we moved into the first house, we had little kids, and it almost felt like a dangerous place.
You're neurotic over it.
Yeah. And then as they got a little bit older and learned how to swim, it seemed like a nice idea.
Mm-hmm.
I did heat my pool one time only, and then I got my bill, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it's
you will swim in cold water. That's it. End of story.
But I remember.
Boy, it's nice to have a warm pool though. But I just can't afford to heat it all the time.
I grew up in Southern California with a pool. We didn't have it heated. We didn't need to because I want to say from late spring, just about after you would get out of school through all of summer, it would on its own get up to 78, up to 82 degrees. And It was really comfy.
Now, why? Mine, I don't think mine gets that warm. Maybe yours wasn't as deep as mine.
I think it's smaller. I think it was a smaller pool. It was nothing fancy. It was just a plaster pool, the kind of classic kidney-shaped thing.
Sure.
And the diving board was very old school. Of course, we had to play Marco Polo and do all that stuff and have
Didn't you love
swimming parties, and lay out by the pool with olive oil on or baby oil, get sunburned.
And then have that reflector,
the
right
foil
at your
reflector.
head. It's crazy.
But now I don't do those things,
No, people don't do it.
But thinking about a pool, there's a lot of different design trends that are new for the year. And thought we could talk about what is lush, what's great, what's a no-brainer, but also some words of caution. Have you ever done a pool project for others as a contractor?
Yes, I have. And a lot of times, I was a tile setter for years and years, and pools obviously have to have tile right at the water line to keep it easy to take care of. So I did a lot of along the water line. I do
really?
pool, mosaic design.
I bet you did some really pretty ones.
Beautiful stuff, yeah. And then it's really kind of interesting how they do the pools. They'll do the cement and the gunite, and then they'll spray. Then the tile work goes in, and then they do that final plaster coat after that, and it kind of meshes right up to the edges there. It makes it a really beautiful inset tile design. So.
When we moved into our house, after having grown up with just your basic white plaster pool, and I remember, too, when we would get algae, that we would do the shock treatments. And one time my dad had to drain the pool. And it was fun for me as a kid because then as they were refilling the pool, it was down like to the very end. There's maybe just a few inches of water. And I'm a teenager now, and you can basically, run down the bottom of the pool. It's just kind of a silly thing to do.
Think about it. The origin of skateboarding in the 60s,
Same
all
thing.
about the pools that were drained and abandoned.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how that whole thing started from that very thing you're talking about.
I'm not a skateboarder, but I did have the fun of being in the pool. But now we flash forward to my husband and I moving into a place where there was a pool, and it was super blue, and we discovered that the predecessors had painted over black algae.
No.
And the black algae had eaten through the plaster, and we ended up going back to, I did do a little court thing where because they weren't truthful in what the house really was. So anyway, that all worked out in the end. But to get rid of that black algae, there's no solution. When it was, eating its way through the plaster, it was not going anywhere.
So did it come from behind the plaster?
From behind, and they had just covered it up with a bright blue paint.
Oh.
A pool paint.
That's
not
terrible.
good. So we ended up having to pulverize all of that out, all the gunite, all the plaster, and then we had it resurfaced, and we got this thing Pebble Tech.
Oh, that's nice. I like that stuff.
And I love that stuff.
Easy to care for, huh?
Really nice. It doesn't seem to have the algae show up.
And then there's my pool.
And yours is plaster?
Well, yes, and
is it white plaster?
It's white plaster, and before I had a pool guy, thank goodness, it did not look good. It looked kind of swampy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a delicate balance getting all those chemicals to work properly. I finally, by the end of it, got the hang of it. But then, it's so much time and energy that I felt like I think I have to have a job. I can't really do this anymore.
You seem to get these projects where it becomes all-consuming.
I know. That's and I love to learn about how it really works, and then I know what I'm doing, and then you realize, you know what? Now that I know,
it's a whole full-time job.
I'd rather pay.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't take care of all this stuff. Between the water features and the pool and the lawn and the and then trying to be a dad and be in a marriage.
It's a lot
it's
of
it's a
lot of
full-time
hats.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about some of the designs. I mean, I'm wondering if plaster is a popular design right now. It feels like it's maybe, but like the colored plaster. At the showcase house that we visited earlier in the year, it was a gray plaster. Are you seeing a lot of that?
I am, and and I'll tell you why that's great. The darker the color, the warmer the water, and then the less you have to rely on a heater.
And it looks more expensive. It has kind of a rich look. It doesn't feel as Disney-esque, if you know what I'm saying.
I do, yeah.
It looks more like it's a lagoon.
It really does.
And that makes you think of Christopher Hack.
And Brooke Shields and the Blue Lagoon. Remember that movie?
Yes.
I think Endless Love was from. Wasn't that Endless Love?
I think that was.
One of those.
Waterfalls. I mean,
puka shells.
Puka shells.
I'm wearing them now.
Yeah.
Kidding.
The slide idea and the whole the concept of making these the waterfalls with these boulders.
Yeah.
Is that still a popular design? Kind of over spilling and flowing into the pool.
Almost like you're in some sort of grotto.
Like an oasis grotto.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you can make it look natural, that I think is cool. But if the stones look like they're
phony.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Like they're almost from Universal Studios,
Don't
like you
like
could lift them up and they're made out of a sponge or something.
And they are.
That's not
They don't look great.
No.
No, I don't like that look. And then if it's too modern, it ends up looking almost like, you're in some sort of a mausoleum with a water feature. There's no personality to it. It's just stark, and some of it's really great.
Some people like that,
Yeah.
though. Some people want, I mean, like in the Palm Springs area, some people really like that contemporary, edgy, minimalist kind of a thing. But then again, like anything, it's got to go with the rest of your house. So it kind of feels...
and I always kind of put everything through the I have kids hopper, and it just looks like hard, sharp edges. Kids with heads that get cracked open running on the wet pavement. Can't do it. Yeah.
I think one of the cheapest ways to upgrade if you already have a pool, wouldn't you say, is maybe just changing the lights? And now with, the advances in LED technology to give it more of a reflective mood.
No question.
Yeah, add some warmth to it.
Yeah, that is a great way. Also, things like huge potted plants, beautiful ceramic pots, or
that look like art,
like art. Yeah, exactly. Or even great furniture can make a world of difference by having it on the pool deck.
But I think these the pool lighting systems, especially if you currently have a pool and you're thinking of just kind of upgrading it. Some of these light setups, they synchronize between the pool and the landscape lighting, so it kind of reflects and it almost works in tandem, and it gives, I think, that extra little bling to your yard.
There's nothing more beautiful, in my opinion, than the way the light shimmers in pool water at night.
Yeah.
If the
Soothing.
lights, it's
great.
gorgeous. It really is. It gives you that sort of aqua glow. It really makes it look great.
You know what I saw in terms of having a pool party idea, making it look cool and decorative? They had white beach balls floating in the pool.
Oh, wow.
And
that's
so
really,
it had
you mean all white?
All white plastic inflatable beach balls. And then they had candles, white candles. And so if you can imagine the light flickering on these white balls that are floating, it kind of had almost this architectural, artsy feel with these globes. You know what I mean? You couldn't tell that they were inflatable balls. It just looked more...
Can I ask you a question? You didn't get injured severely with a diving board in your life, did you?
No, luckily I didn't.
And yet, insurance companies basically won't insure you if you have a diving board. And I disagree. I like, my diving board was taken out of my pool before I bought the house, and the bolts are sticking up out of the pool.
Oh, great.
And, I mean, it's like, I don't think I don't know why we're all penalized for, there's never been more safe cars, yet the same amount of people get injured that they always have in car accidents. Or seat belts obviously save lives, right? But like some of these old ideas, there's no dodgeball anymore because it might hurt your feelings, right? I mean, you can't have a diving board because you might hurt your head. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. We all grew up with this stuff and we're fine, right? Bring back the diving board.
It's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really popular style of pool is the zero entry or the beach entry pool, which I think look really neat. If you can imagine, instead of having, you know, the shallow end and the deep end, it's just there's no end. You walk in from your deck, and then it looks like there's sand, and then all of a sudden you're like it's the ocean, like you're just walking into the pool.
That is a great thing for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a little lagoon for them.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then, because a real popular thing to do is, well, you know, you'd think with a swimming pool you would swim and exercise, but you might want to instead put some lounge chairs
Yeah, and lay
right there in the beach.
Lay there in the water.
And let the water just kind
That's
of
it.
trickle right over your thighs, you know, and you're
Yes.
sitting there with a beverage, of course.
Well, they had back to Vegas. I got to go back there just for a moment. They have this hotel there where they have that kind of a pool where you can submerge your lawn chair in the pool. And unfortunately, I think it was a day when there were a lot of single young folks there, and there were just like cocktail cups floating in the pool with beer cans and like tissue paper. It was disgusting.
Oh. Well, when we come back, we have more ideas. Colorful tiling. You talked about how you did a lot of tiling on pools, how mosaics are making a big comeback.
Are they really?
And saltwater pools. What do you think about that?
I love saltwater pools.
I haven't been in one.
It's like you're in a spa. I mean,
hear that
your
once you
hair
go
and your
salt,
skin is,
you can't do it.
You can't do it.
You can't go back, but it's a little more expensive up front.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and
we'll talk about that.
You can't have copper either. You got to have PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home Wizards, Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole. We're here to help improve your home and improve your life, and that includes just kind of getting your summertime act together, and maybe, just maybe, you might be thinking about a pool. We'll have more on that after this. Welcome back. You're listening to Home Wizards. I'm Cindy Dole.
And I'm Eric Stromer.
And we're talking pools.
Pools!
Why not?
Love them.
Love swimming pools. You have a swimming pool?
It's not that easy to care for a pool unless you have a
Don't
great
say that
pool
right
guy.
now, because right now we're talking about how it's fun. You want to have a pool.
No, it is fun, but I'm
It
saying
is,
you
I
got
know.
before
You gotta have
you
a
get into it, you got to have a reality
You do have
about
a reality
it.
check.
It's
It
a
is.
fair amount of upkeep.
It
You got to
is.
know what you're doing.
But hey, I'm thinking about the swim up bar.
Well,
And the
in that
waiting.
case, you don't need any upkeep. You just go up and you get your bar
But
on.
wouldn't that be fun just to have a little swim up bar? You just kind of
I would
float on over.
Have you ever been to one of those?
I have.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, they're fun.
And then if you fall off the bar stool, you're just in submerged
you're
in
already.
water.
It's very low to the ground. You're
Yeah.
just kind of there.
It's great.
It doesn't even matter what you're drinking. The whole idea is that you're in the shade and you're talking to people and you're just kind of wading in the water. It's fun.
Yeah, it is
So
fun.
I think that would be a neat thing to add to your pool if you were so inclined.
Yeah.
But saltwater pools. Okay, so this is considered to be the big it thing, and you've been in one, huh?
Let me tell you about the saltwater pool. So I wanted to change mine over because when you are in a saltwater pool and you swim, you get out and your hair feels better than before you went in. It doesn't have that drying thing that happens with chlorine. It doesn't discolor your hair. It doesn't turn like my kids at the end of the summer have green hair because they're blonde kids. It doesn't do that. And your skin it almost feels like you're putting moisturizer on when
and
you
I
get
understand that the sensation, because it's so soft that, like you say, it has that moist feeling, but it doesn't have the stinging feeling.
It doesn't, and you can open your eyes in the water.
I mean, it's not like the ocean. It's not that much salt.
No, but it also feels. The water envelops you. It feels more like you're
buoyant.
You're having this experience like you've never.
Jeez.
It's incredible. I went crazy for the feeling. Seriously, it's different.
Well,
but the problem is that my old copper plumbing won't work because the salt will erode any of the copper pipes.
So you would have had to change all the piping.
Have to dig the entire thing up and
what would
basically
that
start
cost?
over. Way too much. Like probably $15,000.
So a regular pool, regular meaning not salt, $50,000
to put in. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so a saltwater pool, if it's more up front, maybe $70,000? You think?
It's not really that much different in terms of cost to install them. It's just that you have to have the right piping and all that stuff. It's when you amend the old pools that it gets pricey.
And the maintenance, though, is supposedly quite a bit less.
Well, very much so. You don't have to do that balancing act with the chemicals as much. Now, remember that you're still creating chlorine with salt. Mm-hmm. But it's a more gentle form. And all you have to do is pour salt into the filter and then it kind of takes care of itself.
So it's a salt chlorine generator of some kind, or
Yep,
it
that's
kind of
exactly
mixes it up?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Which I always thought was interesting. Why if you're making chlorine with salt, is it not as abrasive to your skin and hair? But that is in fact the case.
And what about if you wanted to not only have a saltwater pool, but you wanted to again be less to save some money in the maintenance, and you were complaining about heating the pool. I mean, gas heating, it's going to cost you at least $100 just for one day to heat your pool.
Yeah.
That party, right? Or
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
So I wonder if you were to have a solar pool heater, what that would entail, and if you could install that,
you could
to upgrade your pool.
Sure, absolutely, and the upfront cost on that's going to be a little higher, but in the back end you get it all back, obviously. So yeah, it's when you're looking to do this and budgeting it out, I would strongly recommend you go with the salt pool.
Okay.
Again, the cost to install it's not going to be any different.
And you can still.
It's just the process by which you create chlorine, and that's through the sodium stuff.
I wonder if when you're in a heated saltwater pool, if you feel like you're brining yourself.
You feel like you're a shrimp. You're a shrimp in a Creole dish.
No, you're a turkey being brined.
Yeah, you please do me a favor. If you can find a pool that's saltwater, try it. You'll go crazy.
I want to get the solar heater. I mean, the thing is, too, we have solar panels on our house. And boy, has that ever, we're not quite yet at the net zero, but our utility bills have gone down significantly.
Have they really?
Several $100s.
That's
I mean,
great.
a month we're saving huge. But we didn't have enough sunshine or the setup right to do that for our pool. But I'd like to look into that. And I wonder what that would cost. Because to set up solar panels for your home, they say is about $50,000. And we're doing the kind where you lease them. There's several outfits out there where that way it's less upfront money.
Great idea. Can I tell you the number one way to heat your pool for the least amount of money?
What's that? Oh, I put a cover on it?
The covers are unbelievable.
I like the automated covers.
They also have now, because it is kind of a pain to roll up that big cover, especially if it's an irregular shaped pool, because you're dragging this cover over the part of the kidney that goes in, for example.
And it's not that attractive.
It's not at all.
Sitting out there all the time.
But they sell these circles that are probably 6 feet in diameter that you can, almost like lily pads.
Oh.
And those just go on the surface of the water. Much easier to take out of the pool when you want to use it, or you can even swim with them in there.
And that's not dangerous?
Well, probably a little kid, you wouldn't want to have the potential to trap yourself under that thing. But amazing difference. I mean, it really works. The sun hits it, heats up the surface of the water, top surface of the water, and I can't believe the difference.
And what are they called? Just heating pads or something?
I think they're called heating pads, or little pool covers, circular pool covers.
Interesting.
Yeah,
at the
great.
pool supply place, they might have them.
Yeah,
huh?
you bet.
Huh. The other thing that's really popular are these lap pools.
I love those.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are very short but have the resistance that shoots water toward you, so you're swimming. It's almost like an exercise bike, but in a pool.
See, I think you need that now because you have the pond, you have the sauna, you have the gym.
Go on.
You got the regular swimming pool, and now you have the lap pool.
Massage table.
Oh my
Got
gosh!
one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how much are those lap pools? Like maybe a couple $1,000, $5,000?
No, probably a little. Well, again, it depends how long.
10,000?
It's narrow and long, because to get a great lap pool, you want to have a fairly long pool, so you don't have to keep turning. Probably if the regular pool's 50, those are probably 15 to 20.
Because you want to be able to literally do laps.
Yes.
I'm talking about the kind where
there's the
resistance thing where you're sitting there.
5 to 8.
Yeah.
thousand.
You're just sitting there and you're just, it's almost like you're in a doggy pool.
Yeah, really. It's kind of like just a big hot tub, but it has that
yeah.
resistance that's squirting toward you.
So let's talk about if people are thinking about, pardon the expression, taking the plunge.
Ooh.
Yeah, what are some things that they should think about, that we should all think about? Because it is an investment, and you know up front that you're not necessarily going to get the best return on your investment.
No.
Do it for yourself, not the next guy, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. People think that you're going to gussy up the property with a big old fancy swimming pool, and really I don't think you do get the money back. Realtors often talk about that. There's no need to do that. Kitchens and baths are going to be your first stop in terms of making your house more valuable. If you want a pool and you're going to use it, then definitely go for it. But it's not something that's going to instantly make your house $100,000 more valuable.
And if you are going to have a pool, you do have to think about kids and safety, and you're going to need to have some kind of a fence or a perimeter to be safe. That's part of the code and the rules, right?
You bet.
And what else are some of the things that people might not think about?
Also proximity, like for example, if you have a tremendous amount of overgrowth and beautiful trees that are right over this place where you're going to want to put a pool, that's going to just make your maintenance almost a nightmare. You really want to kind of consider that. Also the orientation, north-south versus east-west. North-south is going to give you constant sun exposure as much as possible. Do you have enough room in your backyard, or is it going to make it feel like your backyard is just literally like a water hole and there's no place to lounge and hang out and have a party where you're kind of have you been in these houses where it's like you're in a
you're
tightrope
tippy-toeing around
you come out of your slider and then you're like right in the pool.
That's a good point. Yeah,
sometimes it's too much and you want a little more space around you. And then design wise, do you want to have that infinity look? Do you want to have a traditional pool? Do you want to go with a Spanish style? You want to kind of match the architecture
to the style
of your house,
home.
right?
Yeah. Right. And I think that a lot of people who are fed up with their pool, they're doing other creative things where they're taking all the chlorine water out, they're cleaning it out and then turning it into a pond.
Right.
Have you heard about that?
I have, yeah.
Or they're filling it up with dirt and making it now an extension to their deck.
That's right.
So I guess you really have to, like anything, assess what your lifestyle is.
Right.
And what you want.
And then if you live in an area that has, a fairly hilly terrain, you're going to have to get into pylons and really huge foundational elements that could really make this thing way more than the $50,000. So
when we come back, we're going to keep talking about pools. We have some ideas of ways to hide and conceal your pool accessories. Eric Stromer, Cindy Dole, Home Wizards. We're back in a moment.
Oh, well, my mom and papa told me, son, you gotta make some